Pulp Fiction wasn't just another crime story. It was a pop culture earthquake that shook the world of movie. Quentin Tarantino mixed humor, chaos, and coolness like a mad artist, creating something totally new. Every frame feels alive with rhythm and danger. Let's dive in and discover 20 weird and amazing facts about Pulp Fiction. Number 20. The movie almost had a completely different cast. Before John Travolta became Vincent Vega, the studio wanted Bruce Willis, Daniel Day-Lewis, or even Michael Madsen for the role. But Tarantino had his heart set on Travolta, who hadn't had a hit in years. Many people thought it was a bad choice. But when Travolta danced in that black suit, everything changed. His comeback became one of Hollywood's greatest surprises. What looked like a risky decision became pure gold. Number 19. The script was written in a tiny apartment. Tarantino wrote Pulp Fiction in a small, messy apartment in Santa Monica with his friend Roger Avery. They covered the walls with index cards and scribbled ideas on napkin. Sometimes they'd argue for hours about one line of dialogue, but they didn't stop until it felt perfect. That's why the movie's conversations sound so real. They were lived, not just written. The genius came from clutter. Number 18. The famous dance scene was inspired by an old movie. Remember the twist dance at Jackrabbit Slim's? That playful finger-snapping scene wasn't random. Tarantino copied it from a 1960s Italian movie called 812, where Marcello Mastroianni and Claudia Cardinale danced in a similar way, but Tarantino made it funkier, with bare feet and neon lights. Uma Thurman didn't even want to do the dance at first, but Travolta convinced her. What looked like a silly moment became cinema history. Number 17. The suitcase. Mystery was never meant to be solved. Fans have argued for years. What's inside the glowing suitcase? Some say it's Marcellus Wallace's soul. Others think it's gold. But Tarantino once said he didn't know either. And that was the point. It's a MacGuffin, something that drives the story, but doesn't matter in the end. The mystery itself is what keeps us watching. It wasn't about the answer. It was about the obsession. Number 16. Samuel L. Jackson almost lost his role. During auditions, another actor, Paul Calderon, gave such a powerful reading that producers considered replacing Samuel L. Jackson as Jules. When Jackson heard that, he flew to Los Angeles, angry and hungry. He walked into the next audition, stared everyone down, and delivered his lines with fury. By the end, the room was silent. That's how he sealed the role. And the Bible verse. Monologue became legend. It wasn't acting. It was fire. Number 15. Uma Thurman was terrified to snort fake drugs. In the overdose scene, Mia Wallace snorts heroin, but it was actually powdered sugar. Still, Uma Thurman was terrified of messing it up. She had to study videos of people on heroin to make her performance believable. The scene where Travolta revives her with a needle to the chest was so real that many audience members fainted during early screening. No fake fear, just pure panic. Number 14. The movie's timeline was written backward. Most people know Pulp Fiction jumps back and forth in time, but what's weird is that Tarantino wrote it in chronological order first, then chopped it up like a puzzle. He moved scenes around until the rhythm felt right. The ending happens in the middle. The middle happens at the start. It's confusing, but it's deliberate. He wanted viewers to feel surprise every minute. It looked random, but it was perfect rhythm. Number 13. Bruce Willis took a pay cut just to be in it. Bruce Willis had just done big-budget action films like Die Hard, but he wanted to work with Tarantino so badly that he accepted a much smaller paycheck. His character, Butch, gave him a chance to act in a different way. Quiet, haunted, human. That small risk made him part of one of the most iconic films ever made. Big stars don't usually take small roles, but this time it paid off. Number 12. The gun scene with Vincent and Marvin was an accident. The shocking moment when Vincent accidentally shoots Marvin in the face was never planned to look so sudden. Tarantino directed it to be fast, awkward, and real. No slow motion, no warning. The blood explosion surprised even the crew. It was so disgusting and funny that everyone on set started laughing. That's Tarantino's magic. Horror that makes you laugh. Number 11. The Bible verse was almost completely fake. Jules quotes Ezekiel 25:17 before every killing. But here's the twist. Most of that verse doesn't exist in the real Bible. Tarantino mixed random lines and made it sound biblical. Samuel L. Jackson said it gave the speech a fake holiness, a poetic mask over violence. When Jules says it before the final scene, it suddenly feels like truth. Fake words, real meaning. Number 10. Tarantino's mother once hated his movies. When Tarantino told his mother he wanted to make violent, cursing-filled movies, she told him to focus on something real. But years later, after Pulp Fiction won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, he called her and said, "Hey Mom, remember that thing you said about my career?" She laughed and admitted she was wrong. What looked like nonsense became genius. Number 9. The adrenaline shot was filmed backwards. The famous moment when Travolta stabs Mia in the chest with a needle wasn't filmed the way it looks. They actually filmed him pulling the needle out, not pushing it in. Then they reversed the shot in editing. That trick made it look fast and dangerous, but no one was ever hurt. Movie magic turned fear into safety. Number 8. The entire soundtrack was picked from Quentin's record collection. Tarantino didn't hire a music supervisor. He went home, opened his old vinyl records, and chose the songs himself. Misser Lou, You Never Can Tell, Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon. They all came from his personal stack. That's why the movie's music feels like a mixtape from a cool friend. It wasn't a score, it was a heartbeat. Number 7. Harvey Keitel saved the film. When Pulp Fiction struggled to get financed, Harvey Keitel believed in Tarantino and came on board not just as an actor, but also as a co-producer. His involvement convinced other investors to join. Without him, the film might never have been made. Sometimes one believer is all it takes to turn a dream into a legend. Number 6. The iconic poster almost featured Pumpkin and Honey Bunny. The original poster idea wasn't Uma Thurman lying with a cigarette. It was going to show Pumpkin and Honey Bunny holding guns in the diner, but Tarantino changed it last minute. He wanted Mia Wallace's mysterious look to capture the mood. The cigarette, the gun, the magazine, it all screamed danger and beauty. What started as a small change became one of the most famous posters in movie history. Number 5. Quentin Tarantino refused to explain the title. Reporters kept asking what Pulp Fiction meant. Tarantino said, "It's like the pulp magazines I used to read as a kid. Cheap stories about crime, sex, and life." But he never explained it fully. He wanted audiences to feel it, not define it. Like the pulp pages, his movie was full of rough edges and bright blood. What seemed messy was actually a love letter to storytelling itself. Number 4. The Royale with cheese line came from a real conversation. That famous talk between Jules and Vincent about McDonald's in Europe wasn't written from imagination. Tarantino once had the same conversation with a friend after visiting Amsterdam. He loved how the small difference, a burger name, could feel funny and strange. It made the gangsters sound like real people. Violence with humor. Crime with curiosity. It's the balance that made Pulp Fiction unforgettable. Number 3. The Gold Watch story was based on true family history. Christopher Walken's speech about the gold watch that survived war and blood wasn't random. Tarantino wrote it after hearing a story about his own stepfather's timepiece from the military. He turned that tiny memory into a darkly funny monologue. Walken's serious tone made it even more absurd. What started as a small family story became one of the most quoted movie speeches ever. Number 2. Travolta practiced dancing every night in his kitchen. John Travolta hadn't done much dancing since Saturday Night Fever. He was nervous. To get back in rhythm, he practiced at home every night, barefoot, in socks, with his wife laughing nearby. By the time filming began, his steps were smooth again. That's why his dance with Uma looks effortless. It wasn't easy. It was practiced joy. Number 1. The movie changed Hollywood forever. Before Pulp Fiction, most movies followed simple patterns. Good guys, bad guys, clean endings. After it, everything changed. Non-linear storytelling became cool. Independent films exploded. Writers started using sharp dialogue and strange humor. It opened the door for a new generation of filmmakers who wanted to break the rules. What began as a small indie film became the heartbeat of 90s cinema. Bonus fact: the Big Kahuna Burger became a real brand. Tarantino invented a fake burger chain for Pulp Fiction called Big Kahuna Burger. The logo appeared on the food Jules eats before shooting a man. But years later, fans opened real restaurants with the same name in tribute to the movie. Tarantino loved it and said it felt like his movie had jumped off the screen into the real world. Fiction became flavor. The past lived again through art. Outro: Pulp Fiction wasn't just a movie. It was a heartbeat, a rhythm, a conversation that never ends. It showed that storytelling could be playful and violent, smart and silly, all at once. It made people laugh at darkness and think about chaos. Tarantino turned crime into poetry and everyday talk into philosophy. Every character, every song, every strange twist became part of film history. If you enjoyed these stories, subscribe for more. Every movie hides a truth, and we'll keep uncovering them, one story at a time.